What's going on, guys? We're doing another quick honing video today. I showed you my cousin's Barbarosa the other video, and on this video I'll be playing around with mine that I just got yesterday. So I'm actually gonna play with this Ninawa combo stone. It's 3,000 on this side, 8,000 on the other side, which I'm just gonna be using the 3,000 to set my bevel. I've looked at this under the microscope, but I haven't really played around with this knife at all. So you guys are basically going to see this from beginning to end. Thanks for joining. So I'm basically just using this stone to set my bevel, and I figured I'd make this stone do the work. Seeing how I don't use these stones very often anymore, ever since I started using my natural stones that I enjoy more. But that being said, you know, this should make short work of it, and this can take the wear and tear instead of the natural stones. So I'm basically just going to set this bevel real quick, and for anyone out there that knows how to hone, you know you got to put a little pressure. For anyone that's never done this before and is curious about it, on this stage I do put a little bit of pressure towards that front edge, just to set that bevel in. I definitely have noticed on bigger knives you don't want to go too big with the pressure, because if you do, you could actually flex the blade and get a false bevel. Then you have to reset it again and basically start over, and hopefully at that point you didn't damage your knife. So like I said, definitely putting pressure, but not a ton. And you can see pretty quickly that I'm building up quite a swarth already. It's pretty gray. So I'll be throwing on the microscope soon and giving this a check. Also gonna rinse some of this off. And I do like these these synthetic stones. But there's really not a whole heck of a lot of feedback on them, so even though they definitely do the job, they don't always give you the most comfortable edge. And I can already see that it is beveling nicely, and the good thing about these is that they put a shiny edge. When you're using a synthetic, I've noticed that that they put a much shinier edge, and you know, it's not an edge that you know is bad in any way. It's just not quite as comfortable as like a coticule edge or a natural stone edge. So it just is what it is. But Sean Stablefeld said I should try doing it this way with the synthetic, and then I'll move over to my natural stones for the progression. Another thing I've noticed about synthetic versus natural stones is you definitely have to lap, in my opinion, the synthetic stones more often, because they just seem softer. They seem like they wear differently than a natural stone. A natural stone seems to hold that flatness a lot longer, in my opinion. And again, I make these videos just to see my own progression, share my experience with you guys. So you know, if anyone has any positive feedback or even negative feedback, I'm always willing to hear both sides, so that I can get the best and the most out of everyone's opinions, because you know, everyone has a different opinion. I can actually see the edge polishing up on this stone. So I have a feeling Sean's right. When I start to go through the rest of my progression, it'll just transfer over to those natural stones with no issue. Going to throw it under the microscope one more time. It's already starting to polish up, so I can see that I have basically put my own fresh bevel into this blade, and this is a refurbished blade. It is not brand new, so I'm not expecting perfection out of it, but I will get it as close as I can. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that stone aside and pull out my coticule. I don't think I've had a chance to show you guys this side of the stone yet, but this is the Belgian blue side, which isn't far off from the synthetic grit that I was just using. This is probably a guesstimation of a 3,000 to 5,000 grit. So I find that it's definitely good for cleaning up my bevels. I'm actually gonna get a little bit of a slurry going. And I learned the hard way that you do not push too hard with these slurry stones, otherwise you will start to get a grit buildup that's not good. And you can feel it when you're running the blade over the stone. You will start to feel it, and I don't like that. I like it when it's nice and smooth, and I know that I'm getting a nice even cut without having any strange issues. Now, the cool thing about this stone, you'll notice that the slurry, even though I'm using the yellow Belgian side of this slurry stone, that it's almost like a light purple, which is kind of cool. It's pretty unique. I don't see many guys using these Belgian blues. And I think that they're great for setting or even cleaning up a bevel. I just figured I'd try doing a synthetic bevel grind today, and then move over to the Belgian blue. Still putting a little bit of pressure, but nothing crazy. I just want to make sure that bevel is making full contact so that I can grind this down to a decent apex. One thing I've noticed about this particular side of the stone is that you can see the slurry slowly darkening, but it's it's hard to see sometimes through that purple slurry how much swarth you're actually getting from the blade. But I do the bulk of this by feel anyways. I like to check my progression as I go in the microscope because it really just tells the whole story. Before I had that microscope, I felt like I was feeling my way around in the dark. Oh yeah. Yeah. I love the way a coticule starts to put almost what looks like a sandy edge on a blade. I definitely like to check both sides, and I'm noticing that on this tip right here, on this side, it's not making contact all the way out to the edge. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of extra attention. I'm going to add a little water here. I'm also noticing on the other side that I'm making connection here, and it seems like right about there it's not making as good of connection. So like I said, this is a refurbished blade that I got from Matt over at Griffith, and when putting my own edge on something, you know, you start to see where all the little issues are. You know, maybe the way someone honed it the last time or the last several times or whatever the case may be, but if you're going to fix something, these first two steps, either using an Atoma diamond plate, which I do sometimes, which really bevels quickly, but then you have a decent amount of cleanup to do. But on a stone like this, I try to make sure that before I go to the yellow side of this stone, that bevel is set the way I want it to. Otherwise, it's that issue is just going to carry on. So it's all about setting that foundation, I've learned. That's definitely key. So I was just starting to feel a little bit of grit on the stone. So I'm just going to rinse it all off. And I'm actually going to lap this real quick with my 1200 Atoma. Give it a little bit of water. And instantly you feel it smooth right back out. Yeah, it feels much better. looks like I, in one of those steps, blew through my my tape a little bit right there, and in the exact same spot on the other side. So I'm just going to change that tape out real quick. I'm also going to put this under the microscope again real quick just to see if we're ready to move on to the yellow side. I would have to say that we're getting pretty close here. I knew going into this honing session that this particular knife, because it's refurbished, was going to take probably a little bit more TLC, a little extra work. That's to be expected from a used blade. Things don't always go exactly the way you want to because you don't know what was done to this blade in the past. So you're basically grinding away the old and making everything fresh and new. As much as I hate to take extra material off in a situation like that, most of the time you really just don't seem to have much of a choice. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but those air brakes on that truck are loud. Every once in a while I stop. If you tape your spines like I do, every once in a while I stop and I feel the tape and I see if there's any tears or cuts in the tape, because it definitely will affect things. Might cause a bump that lifts that particular side up, and next thing you know, you're not grinding on your bevel anymore. you start making a second bevel, a false bevel. So constantly checking everything, putting it on the microscope as I go, making sure that everything's going the way it should be going. Alright, I might be just about at the point where I can switch over. Sorry about the sirens. I have a street light not too close, not too far away, and every once in a while they definitely like to come by blaring their sirens. I've kind of learned to deal with it, but I'm just inspecting the bevel against the light, and now I'm just going to put it under the microscope. And it's starting to look pretty crisp, so that's good. There does seem to be one little funny spot on this blade, and I'll see if I'm going to have to do anything more drastic. But unfortunately, in a situation like that, sometimes you just have to go through the progression to find out those answers. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. You know, a lot of guys I don't think are crazy about working on a sink bridge. It's got its ups and downs. Standing here in front of the sink isn't always the most comfortable thing in the world, but the convenience is that the faucet is right there and I can just rinse things off super fast. But eventually I think I'm going to end up setting up some sort of a bench setup so I can just sit down and kind of relax and have it be more of a relaxed environment and not stand up and by the end of this my back be hurting. Yeah, I'm noticing my undercut in that direction, which means this side of the blade seems to be in better shape, and this side of the blade, it's not taking off that undercut quite as quickly. or smoothly or evenly. So I always feel like that's the side that needs a little bit more attention in a situation like this where it's a refurbished blade. Just telltale signs of certain things. But if throughout this process I can't get both sides to flatten out and give me a nice even bevel, I will literally take this right back to the 1200 Atoma diamond and just grind it past any of those issues and basically start over. So hopefully we don't have to do that. I wouldn't bore you guys with that anyways. Yeah, I see now I'm starting to get a better undercut, so that's a good sign. Going this way, this side of the blade seems pretty darn good, but the other side just needs that little bit of extra attention. Same thing when I'm coming out of a bevel set, and you know, I've used the Belgian blue side of this coticule, which I love. I got it from Matt over at Griffith's Shave Goods, along with this blade. I might put a little bit of pressure at first while cleaning up the bevel on this yellow side, but as I go forward, I'll start to lighten that pressure and lighten the slurry and all that stuff, so that I can actually bring this from a 3,000 to 5,000 up towards that 8,000 to 10,000 range. Yeah, my undercut is actually starting to look pretty good on that side, so that's real promising. And I can see that I have a little tiny tear on both sides of my tape. So I gotta change it again. The good part is once I get past this stage, the grit on the stone, it doesn't seem to tear the tape at all. Sometimes the coticule, I've noticed, or especially the diamond plate, but the coticule in general, if you're putting any pressure, it can start to cut through your tape. So I always watch out for my corners, my edges. I usually kind of bevel those down just a little bit. And I've also learned you don't want to bevel those down too much, because then you don't have a nice clean edge on your stone for dealing with certain things. And I like to have that clean edge. I'm just throwing a new piece of tape on here. I'm going to actually lap this yellow side just like a tiny bit to bring up a little slurry without the stone, just to make sure that it feels nice and flat. It's not something I do a lot, but I just feel like it's about time to give this a quick lap, so I'll do that. I used to be a little sloppy with that bevel and overdo it a little bit, and I learned on my synthetics. I learned a lot of stuff on my synthetics because I feel like you can fix the synthetics a little quicker and easier. It's not really so easy to fix a natural stone once you've done something, you know, taken something too far. So when I round my edges, I just don't go too crazy. Just little things I've learned along the way that seem to be helping me. So hopefully some of these things can help you guys if you're new to this, and if not, I'm sure you know all this and you're just enjoying the show. I am somewhat new to this, so you know, for me, like I said, I'm really just paying attention to all the different things that will help me improve. And for example, when I go back and forth with these stones, I know I'm not as fast as some of the guys out there, but I've also learned that if you have one bad pass, you can just ruin your edge and have to start over. And I don't like starting over, so I'd rather just take my time and just hang out in my comfort zone. Just want to make sure it's not cutting my tape. I feel like it's starting to smooth out now, and I'll be throwing this under the microscope real soon to just check out how things are going. Keep forgetting to get packing peanuts so that I can use packing peanuts to check for sharpness. I usually use a tomato, but I don't have any. I do have some grapes, so that's about all I can do to check this bevel, and then I can do the HHT later on and make sure that it passes to my strict standards. It's starting to feel pretty good. Just gonna dry the blade off and put it under the scope real quick, but I can actually see that I've taken back enough material to kind of straighten that edge out. Oh yeah, it's definitely looking more crisp. I love the fact that, I mean, you can call it a scratch pattern if you want, but when I use my coticule, I feel like it puts like it almost looks like a sandy edge. You know, it's got this, you know, the scratches, but in between this, you know, the scratch pattern, it almost looks like sandy, which I find to be cool. So I'm just gonna do a lighter slurry and start to work the edge on this thing. I get to this stage, I've learned from all the guys that I've seen hone knife after knife that I start to definitely lighten up my touch, and just let that apex keep, that bevel keep riding that apex down till it's, it's a nice fine edge. So if I'm putting any pressure right now, it's very, very light. I feel like my undercut's definitely getting more even as I go through this process, so those are all good signs. I think at a certain point, I'll get to a point where I can comfortably do one hand. And I mean, I can to a certain degree, but I've said this before in one of my other honing videos that I really actually enjoy having two hands on that blade so I can really feel what's going on. Looks like it's cleaning up quite nicely. So, I grab my only indicator I can. And today that is going to be the skin of a grape. So, oh geez, it's just going right in. I mean, I'll be honest, a grape skin isn't as tough as a tomato, but that's just cutting right in like no one's business. So, today I actually don't think I'm going to be going through the full progression with my Thuringian and my Arkansas. I kind of just want to put a coticule edge on this, so I'm just gonna keep on this stone for a little while. It's based on that little test. We're actually pretty darn close to this thing being pretty good and shave ready. What Matt had put on here was perfectly fine, if I'm being honest, but I just like putting my own edge because I like to use tape. I don't ask every maker or every place where I buy my knives. I don't always ask them how hone their blades, and if they use tape and all that stuff. I just like to cut through all that red tape and go straight to taping it the way I do and making the bevel mine. But if I'm being honest, I've never actually done 100% conical edge. I've kind of always just progressed from this yellow Belgian to my Thuringian, and then my Arkansas. It's just what I've done. So for me, this is actually going to be slightly a new experience on a new blade, so I'm cool with that. I'm actually feeling a piece of grit. So when I feel that, I usually stop, rinse, especially when I'm not messing with a slurry. I mean, no one likes to waste a good slurry, but if there's something in there that's affecting the way the bevel feels to me, I'll just stop and rinse it off. And instantly it feels glassy again. Been playing around with the editing software lately, but I definitely have some more stuff to learn with that. I never make videos, I just do my thing usually, but like I said, I really like the idea of documenting my experience as I go along. And once I've made all my videos and documented everything that I've learned and everything that I've got, you know, different knives and stones and stuff, I'll make just pretty much videos that show you guys anything new that I get or new that I learn. But beyond that, I'm just taking you guys for the documentation journey with me. So So at this point, I'm pretty much doing zero pressure. It's just the weight of the blade and me holding the blade to the stone, and that's about it. I don't know what it is about soapy water on a coticule, but it just feels so glassy. The versatility of this coticule is pretty awesome. And Sean was asking me, you know, if this is a slow, medium, fast. I would have to say that the blue side is fast to medium, and this side is a medium to slow. And depending on the slurry you put on there, you can make it as fast or slow as you want. That's the cool part about it, on both sides. So but I'm feeling this thing get pretty glassy, so I'm going to do some reverse passes. As soon as I feel that smooth out, I feel like I'm pretty much there. So I'm pretty much going to end it there. Like I said, I know that this blade is looking. I don't know if you guys can catch that light glinting off of the apex there, off of the bevel. But it looks pretty darn even. It's hard to get it on that side to get the light to catch it just right. But the other side, I could see it in the camera. I don't know if you guys can, but right about there. But anywho, I'll do an HHT on this. I know it's going into these grapes like butter, so I know that I'm close, if not there, and my HHT will pretty much tell me the rest of the story. If I gotta go back to the stone, I will. If I gotta do anything more fancy than what I've already done, then I will. But until next time, this is Rob at the Razor's Edge. Have a good day.